Hi everyone, it's me. I want to talk about old dogs and new tricks. And yes, I'm talking about relationships. When you meet someone um, and you have certain ways of doing things, as we all do, and you want to introduce ideas to your relationship, so you can each teach the old dogs. Each person can teach the old dog a new trick, including me. Because as much as I've done things that have worked for me in the past, I am with someone that does things different, including it might be how they wash the dishes or how someone uses a vacuum, how someone makes the bed, cleans the toilet. There's just we each do things slightly different. And when you cohabitate with someone, you're thinking, okay, let's just say you pick up your clothes and throw it in the laundry basket or in the hamper or down the chute, and the other person does not. And they leave their clothes lying in a heap on the floor. What do you do to get them to pick up their clothes? Well, first and foremost, it's not life changing unless if you get up in the middle of the night and it's pitch dark and you trip over their clothes, then there's a problem. But what can you do to encourage that person to pick up their clothes and throw it in the laundry basket? I've come up with a way that has been effective in my relationship and is a kind way. It's a non threatening way, and it has been effective in my life. So the one thing that I do with my person is I make a suggestion. Can I just please make a suggestion? I've tried this in the past. This has been good for me. It's really worked, etc., etc., etc. And for the most part, it's well received and it's kind and it's pleasant and it's a suggestion. I say it's just a suggestion. Take it or leave it. I hope you take it. But that's just the way it is. But what happens when you are dealing with a situation that is ingrained, that is the norm, and that is commonplace for the person you're with? For instance, my husband, prior to me, was single for quite a while. And so he was a single guy, lived with his son. They had a bachelor pad. And so he has a best friend who lives in the area and he swings by and this and that. And that's just the way it was. His house is an open door. I respect that. But I used to live in a place, and in my place, the people would show up if they were invited. I didn't really have, except in my apartment complex, my neighbor would knock on the door, but when it came to family and friends, before they stopped over, there was an invite, so I could be ready to give them of my time, my space, and everything else about me, so I could really, really focus on them and make sure I had the time for them. And so that's just the way it was for me. So I did not have an open door policy. And I'm comfortable that way. But a lot of it has to do with my previous trauma. Um, my sexual assault happened, and the person had just walked into the bedroom. And so a part of it has to do with that. So I have to be prepared for when people come over. And that's just me. So I'm with my guy, moved in. It was before we were engaged. And his best friend opted to stop by unexpectedly. And I'm like, and I was home alone. It was, before my now husband, came home from work. And I said, well, my husband's not home. He goes, oh, I'm his best friend. I could stop by anytime I want. And this and that. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I said, well, I got to get going and I have things to do. So husband came home and I said, your best friend stopped by. Oh yeah, he stops by whenever. And I said, well, I said, I'm not really 100% there. And I'm not really comfortable. I don't know him. He's not my friend. I want to get to know him when you're here. But I really am not comfortable with him just swinging by because I feel obligated to give someone of my time and energy and all that. And I'm in the middle of usually doing something. And so he says, well, it's not a big deal. And he's my friend and he can stop by whenever he wants. And I said, I have to explain because of my previous trauma. First of all, I'm not comfortable because it's your friend. And I don't want to be alone with your friends. And second of all, it's just the way it is. So he's now between a rock and a hard place. So, because what is he going to say to his best friend? You can't come over anymore? No, I don't want it to be like that. I'm just trying to say, just a suggestion, if you can let him know to call ahead of time to make sure you're home so that you're prepared and ready for a visit, that would be great. Well, it's hard because it's, like you're saying, this is someone's life. And this is something I'm asking because it's a change, and it's unpleasant. It's not fun. So it happened again, and I said, I'm sorry, but I'm uncomfortable. I'm really at the point where I don't know why he's stopping over when you're not home. So he finally said, my husband, he said to his best friend, if just to let you know, Laura is not 100% there. So if you can just give me a call when you're in the area, that would be great. So his best friend understood, and now it's totally different because we've been together for a while, or not forever, but long enough, and there's been a mutual understanding and respect, and that's what I really wanted out of a relationship. Is I'm not trying to change your life. I don't want you to give up your extracurricular activities if you like sports or hunting or fishing or whatever. I'm not going to stop you from buying something that you want to buy. But when it comes to your mental health, your well-being, your emotional state of mind, you really have to stand up for yourself if you're feeling uncomfortable in a situation. Let's just say, you meet a guy and he says, well, let's go meet my friends or let's go hang out with my family. And there's someone in his family that makes you uncomfortable. You have to understand. I mean, I know people have family and friends, but what do you say? You have to be honest and say, there's something inside of me that is not comfortable around your friend, your cousin, your brother, whatever. You have to bring it out in the open, because if you let it fester, you're going to be stuck in a situation, and one day you may say, I've never liked so and so. He's always been an asshole. I don't like being around him. I never have. And it's not going to turn out pretty. So the best thing you can do is just, if you're going to ask someone to readjust, there has to be a reason behind it. And if your person cares about you and you say, I had this experience, and because of this experience, I am not asking for things to completely change. I'm just asking until I get comfortable. If we could please make sure that person respects our relationship, that would be fantastic. But the person you're with should. It's not that they're putting you first, but you're going to be primary. And then everything else kind of becomes secondary, not less important, but your feelings, the person you're living with, their feelings should be considered first. And then you flow outward. And then there's a compromise. Or maybe his friend needs to drop something off for him and your husband's not home, and then they could just drop it off and leave it on the front porch or in the garage, or you could have something ready for them, but ready for them to be able to drop the item off. But if you're not comfortable being alone with your guy's friends or family members, that's just the way it is, and you should let them know. And that's just the way it is. And sometimes if you know that you're not going to be comfortable around them and things aren't going to change, it's probably time to sever ties, because if my suggestions and my feelings had not been respected, I wouldn't be able to be here. I would rather be by myself in my 1 bedroom apartment, waiting for a knock on my door from my neighbor across the hall, whether I want to open or not. But that's just the way it is. So when you coexist with someone, make sure you tell them how you feel. It can be a suggestion, and sometimes it has to be a rule. So that's all I wanted to talk about: how to approach your person, how to make things better in your life, and how to coexist with someone in a positive and healthy manner. So I hope that helped, and I hope you're all having a good day. Bye bye.